All right, thank you guys. The Penguins take on the Flyers. What is that, hockey? And that's going to be a 7 p.m. Eastern puck drop on Thursday, January 6th, 2022. Pittsburgh's the $2.20 favorite with the total at 6, juice to the under. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website at brockpage.com. And despite how bad we've been over the past 2 weeks, I mean really bad with our premium picks, we are currently 2-0 in our last couple of extra daily picks on that very same webpage. And the good news is we have another extra daily pick going off here today. And if you want to access today's extra daily pick, it's only going to cost you just $2.99. And the link for that pick is in the description section below. And just a reminder real quick, if you sign up for that $2.99 package here today, you're actually going to get access to that content every single day all the way through the end of January. And it actually works out to be just 12 cents a day if you sign up here today. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. When it comes to this Pittsburgh-Philadelphia game, Tristan Jarry is the expected netminder for the Pens. Martin Jones for the Flyers. Now, Jones comes into today's start with a .336 goals against average. Not too good there. The Flyers are also on a 3-game losing streak, and they gave up 13 total goals during that stretch, certainly having some issues defensively. They're taking on a red-hot Pittsburgh team who won their last 9 straight, and they also rank in the top 3 in the NHL in offensive shots on goal per contest. Now, Jake Guentzel leads the club in points and goals. The left winger has scored 16 times already and has 31 total points. Meanwhile, teammate Chris Letang leads the team in assists and plus-minus. The defenseman has 23 assists thus far in the season. He's currently a +10 when he's on the ice. Now, when it comes to the puck line, the Pens have actually cashed in on the puck line in 60% of their road games. So if you want to get any kind of value here today with Pittsburgh, you're going to have to lay the goal and a half. Now, injury-wise, Carter and Malkin are questionable for Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, for Philadelphia on the other side of things, Brassard is battling a hip. Meanwhile, Giroux, Couturier, Ellis Konechny, and Sanheim, they are all still on the IR. Now, total-wise, when it comes to the number in this one, 3 out of Philadelphia's last 4 contests fell under the total of 6 goals. The Flyers officially went 4-2 to the under in their last 6 as well. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Pittsburgh -1.5 in the under 6 goals in the tight window. Next matchup, it is going to be Blue Jackets versus the Devils, and that's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern start time. The New Jersey Devils are -155 with the total at 6 flat. Mackenzie Blackwood's expected in net for New Jersey. Joonas Korpisalo for Columbus. And although Korpisalo has struggled a bit here recently, the Blue Jackets have had some really good success against New Jersey in recent meetings. And as a matter of fact, the Blue Jackets are currently 9-0 with an overtime loss in their last 10 meetings with the Devils. So whenever they see New Jersey on that ice, it normally means they're going to get some points, at least 1 point. Man, that is an incredible stretch of games there. Now, Columbus also has a winning record against the puck line when traveling this season. They're taking on a Jersey team who lost 7 out of their last 10 themselves. And they currently rank in the bottom 5 in the NHL in goals allowed per contest. Now, Mackenzie Blackwood, the netminder, he comes into today's contest with a .332 goals against average and an .895 save percentage. Certainly some lackluster numbers out of Kenzie here. And when it comes to the injury report, Heischer is questionable to play for New Jersey. Meanwhile, for Columbus on the other side of things, Hoffman and Tarasov are questionable. Teixeira is out. Now, total-wise, Columbus is currently 10-5 to the over in all of their road games this year. And as a matter of fact, they're 21-10 to the over for the entire season at any location. Meanwhile, New Jersey has seen 65% of their contests for the entire year get over the posted number themselves. I'm going to lean toward Columbus plus 1.5 in the over 6 goals. Next matchup, it is going to be Sharks versus the Sabres, 7 o'clock Eastern puck drop. Now, San Jose is minus 130 on the road here with the total at 6. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is in net for the Sabres. Adin Hill for San Jose. Now, Hill comes into today's game with a .297 goals against average. Always nice to see a goals against average sub 3. Now, the Sharks have also done a pretty nice job defensively on the road. They're currently in the top 10 in the NHL in defensive shots on goal when traveling. They're taking on a Buffalo team who's on a 4-game losing streak themselves. And they also dropped 8 out of their last 10. Certainly struggling here recently. Now, the Sabres got the W in just 6 of 17 home games this year. And they're allowing nearly 35 shots on goal per contest. Now, total-wise, when it comes to the scoring in this one, 3 out of Buffalo's last 5 games fell under the total of 6 goals. Meanwhile, San Jose on the other side is officially 10-7 to the under when traveling. I'm going to lean toward the San Jose Sharks minus 130 and the under 6. Next matchup, it is going to be Flames versus the Lightning, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Should be a good one in Tampa. Now, Tampa Bay is minus 145 with a number at 6. Andrei Vasilevsky for the Lightning, Jacob Markstrom for Calgary. Now, Markstrom's having a pretty good season thus far. He's 12-7 with a .215 goals against average and a .926 save percentage. Calgary's also playing their best hockey on the road as they're currently 13-5 with a couple of OT losses when traveling. And in addition to playing some pretty tough defense, the Flames currently lead the NHL, the entire NHL, in road scoring. Andrew Mangiapane has 18 goals on the year and 21 total points. Meanwhile, center Elias Lindholm, he currently leads the entire NHL in plus-minus. The center is currently a plus 26 when he's on the shift. When Lindholm is on the ice, good things happen. Now, they're taking on a Tampa club who lost 3 out of their last 4. And they successfully cashed in on the puck line in just 35% of their home games. And as good as the Lightning have been on both ends of the ice, they actually have struggled with scoring chances at the Amalie Arena, not getting a whole lot of them. They're currently averaging only 28 shots on goal a game on their home ice. Now, when it comes to the total in this one, 5 out of Tampa Bay's last 6 contests got over the total of 6 goals. Meanwhile, for Calgary, on the other side of things, 5 out of their last 6 failed to stay under the total of 6 goals themselves. They're also 7-3 to the over in their last 10 meetings with Tampa Bay. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Calgary Flames plus 1.5 in the over 6. Next matchup, it is going to be Wild versus the Bruins, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Boston is minus 170 with the total at 6. Jeremy Swayman for Boston, Capo Kakinen for Minnesota. Now, Capo's 4-2 in his last 6 starts, .268 goals against average, .906 save percentage. And despite their recent skid, Minnesota's still done a real nice job offensively on the road. They're currently in the top 10 in scoring on average per contest away from their home ice. Ryan Hartman scored 15 times and has 28 total points on the year. Now, the right winger is also second in the entire NHL as a plus 24. So when Hartman's on the ice, good things happen for his team. And, of course, speaking of plus-minus, Kirill Kaprizov is a plus 12 himself, and he currently leads the club in points and assists. Now, they're taking on a Boston team who's done a poor job of cashing in on the puck line at home. The Bruins cashed in on just 4 out of 15 home games, and that's good for only 26% in that particular category. The Bruins have also struggled offensively this season, as they're currently in the bottom 10 in scoring on average per game. Now, total-wise, when it comes to the number in this one, 8 out of Boston's last 10 contests failed to get over the total of 6 goals. The Bruins are officially 4-2 to the under in their last 6 at the Garden. So with all that said and done, I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Minnesota plus 1.5 in the under 6. All right, next contest I have for you. Another one should be a good game. I'm talking about the Panthers versus the Stars, and that's going to be an 8:30 Eastern puck drop. Now, the Florida Panthers are minus 135 on the road with the total at 6.5. And speaking of the total in this one, this game's actually being featured as my extra daily pick here tonight on BrockPage.com, where once again, we are currently 2-0 in our last couple of picks in that category. So if you want to see whether I think this one's going to fly over the total in an offensive shootout, or if I like this one to stay under the line in a defensive stronghold, well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to sign up for my extra daily pick on BrockPage.com for just $2.99. And the link for that pick is in the description section below. But as far as picking a winner in this one is concerned, well, there's a couple of things we need to break down here. It's actually Dallas who's currently on a 2-game winning streak, and they scored 11 total goals in those 2 victories. The Stars have also been really good in the American Airlines Center. They're 11-3 with an overtime loss, and they're limiting their opponents to just 28 shots on goal a game on their home ice. Now, goaltender Braden Holtby, he comes into today's matchup with a .244 goals against average and a .922 save percentage. Really great to see a guy like Holtby at his age perform at such a high level. Now, they're taking on a Panthers team who certainly doesn't play their best hockey on the road. As a matter of fact, the Panthers got the W in just 4 out of 12 road games, and they currently find themselves in the bottom 5 in the league in road scoring. Now, when it comes to the injury report, Verhaeghe is questionable to play tonight. Bennett is still out. Meanwhile, for Dallas on the other side of things, Kiro is questionable for them. So with all that said and done, not going to make a play on the total here on the free video because we're making a play on the total in real life. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the underdog Stars plus $1.15, getting the job done for some money line cash. All right, next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Blackhawks versus the Coyotes, and that's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern start time. Chicago's minus 155 with the total at 5.5. Marc-Andre Fleury for the Blackhawks, Scotty Wedgwood for Arizona. Now, Scotty Wedgwood, he's had a tough go of things here recently. He's just 4-9 in his last 13 starts. He comes into today's game with a .333 goals against average. Certainly some less than lackluster numbers out of Wedgwood. Now, Scotty's also got a save percentage of just .894. So, not great production out of Wedgwood. The Coyotes lost 8 out of their last 9 ball games as well. They lost 8 out of their last 9 contests. And they're winning only 14% of their games at home. And when it comes to offensive shots on goal, Arizona averages fewer shots per contest than any other team in hockey. Now, they're scoring off against a Chicago team who does a pretty nice job defensively late in games. And that, as a matter of fact, the Blackhawks are currently in the top 10 in fewest third-period goals allowed on the road. Marc-Andre Fleury, he's really turned it around after a horrific start to the season. He's currently got himself a .291 goals against average and a .911 save percentage. So once again, much improved for Fleury when it comes to the injury report. Connolly is still suspended for Chicago. Meanwhile, Citron is questionable for Arizona. You guys know I butcher these hockey names all the time. Now, 2 out of Arizona's last 3 contests got over the total of 5.5 goals. Meanwhile, the Blackhawks are 12-5 to the over when traveling. I'm going to lean toward Chicago minus 155 and the over 5.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Jets versus the Avalanche, 9 o'clock Eastern puck drop. Colorado is minus 230 with the total at 6.5 goals. Darcy Kemper for Colorado, Connor Hellebuck for Winnipeg. Despite some really good numbers out of Hellebuck this season, the Jets certainly did not play well on the road. And as a matter of fact, Winnipeg got the W in just 6 out of 15 road games. And they currently find themselves in the bottom 10 in scoring away from home. They're taking on a Colorado team who won 7 out of their last 8 themselves. and they've actually been absolutely dominant in the Ball Arena. Colorado's currently 11-2 straight up with an overtime loss at home, and they successfully cashed in on the puck line in over 71% of those home games. Now, scoring-wise, Mikko Rantanen leads the club in goals with 15 of them. The right winger also has 33 total points, and he's a plus 12. Meanwhile, Nazem Kadri is third in the NHL in assists with 30 of them. Kadri's also in the top 5 in the NHL in points with 41. Now, the Avs are currently in the top 3 in the league in scoring on average per contest. And when it comes to the injury list, Johnson and Nichushkin are questionable to play here tonight for Colorado. Meanwhile, for Winnipeg, Gustafsson is questionable for them. When it comes to the total in this one, 5 out of Winnipeg's last 8 contests stayed under the total of 6.5 goals. Meanwhile, 3 out of Colorado's last 5 outings fell under the total of 6.5 goals themselves. I'm going to lean toward Colorado minus 1.5 and the under 6.5 goals. Next matchup, it is going to be Rangers versus the Golden Knights, and that's going to be a 10 o'clock Eastern start time. Vegas is minus 150 at home with the total at 6. Robin Lehner is in net for Vegas. Igor Shesterkin for New York. Now, Shesterkin had a dynamite first half of the season. He's 15-4 in his last 19 starts with a 209 goals against average. Now, Shesterkin also comes into this contest here today with a .936 save percentage. Man, you really can't get nothing by this guy. The Rangers have done a real nice job on the road this season, going 12-5 with a couple of overtime losses when traveling. Meanwhile, offensively on the other end of the ice, New York is currently in the top 10 in road scoring. Now, Chris Kreider has 20 goals thus far in this season. He's 4th in the NHL in that category. Meanwhile, Adam Fox has 35 points on the season, thanks mostly to 30 assists. And as a matter of fact, he's currently 3rd in the NHL in that assist category. They're taking on a Vegas team who lost their last 2 straight. And they cashed in on the puck line in just 5 out of 20 home games. Now, a huge problem area for the Knights is their inconsistent defensive play at the T-Mobile Arena. They're actually currently in the bottom 3 in the entire NHL in goals allowed per contest at home. Now, Robin Lehner also comes into today's contest with a lackluster .303 goals against average. Now, when it comes to the injury report, Pacioretty and Martinez, they are both still on the IR. Meanwhile, Stone, Brossoit, and Haig, they are questionable to play. Meanwhile, for the Rangers on the other side of things, Nemeth is questionable. Panarin's still on the IR. When it comes to the total in this one, Vegas went 5-2 to the over in their last 7 home games. As a matter of fact, the Knights are currently 12-6 to the over in their last 18 at any location. I'm going to lean toward New York plus 1.5 and the over 6 goals. Next matchup, it is going to be Red Wings versus the Ducks, and that's going to be a 10 o'clock Eastern puck drop. The Anaheim Ducks are minus 140 with the number at 5.5 goals. John Gibson in net for the Ducks, Alex Nedeljkovic for Detroit. And despite some really good starts out of Nedeljkovic, the Red Wings have lost 6 out of their last 9 contests, and they're also winning just 26% of their road games. And speaking of traveling, Detroit's actually had a tough time defensively away from home. They're currently in the bottom 3 in goals allowed per contest on the road. This is a team who certainly isn't as bad as they were last year, but they got to clean things up defensively here. They're squaring off against an Anaheim team who's done a fine job of scoring goals at home this year. And as a matter of fact, Anaheim's currently in the top 10 in the NHL in offensive goals per contest at home. Troy Terry's 3rd in the NHL in goals with 21 of them. The center also has 34 total points on the year. Meanwhile, Sonny Milano has 23 total points on the season himself. And if you're looking to get a little bit more value here with a puck line play, well, the Ducks have successfully cashed in on the puck line in 79% of their home games. Now, injury-wise, when it comes to the injury report, Getzlaf and Zegras are still in quarantine for Anaheim. Meanwhile, for Detroit on the other side of things, Verana's still on the IR for them. When it comes to the number in this one, Detroit saw 11 out of their last 15 road games get over the line. They're also 20-14 to the over at any location for the entire season. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Anaheim minus 140 and the over 5.5 goals. And with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into our next and final matchup of the show. It is going to be Predators versus the Kings, 10:30 East. Nashville is the $1.35 favorite, totals 5.5. UC Saros for Nashville, Johnny Quick for Los Angeles. And I'll tell you what, despite some really good numbers out of Johnny Quick this season, for some reason the Kings have had problems giving up goals at home. It really doesn't make sense because Johnny Quick's been really, really good in many different spots. But these guys are having problems defensively at home. As a matter of fact, the Kings are currently in the bottom 10 in home goals allowed per contest. Now, scoring-wise, on the other side of the other end of the ice, they're actually struggling offensively as well, as they're currently in the bottom 10 in offensive goals per game. They're taking on a Nashville club who's on a 2-game winning streak themselves, and they also got the W in 8 out of their last 10. Now, Nashville ranks in the top 10 in road scoring, and they're led by Philip Forsberg, who's got 17 goals and 27 total points. And speaking of points, Roman Josi and Michael Granlund are the team's leading points getters with, I got 20 apiece written down here, but I believe it's 30 apiece. I think each of those guys have 30 total points apiece. Now, total-wise, the Preds went 4-2 to the over in their last 6 games, 11-8 to the over this season on the road. Meanwhile, the Kings saw 3 out of their last 5 get over the total of 5.5 goals themselves. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Nashville, minus 135, and the over 5.5 goals. And with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are 2-0 in our last couple of extra daily picks on that website. I like Pittsburgh minus 1.5, under 6 goals. Columbus plus 1.5, over 6. San Jose minus 130, under 6 goals. Calgary plus 1.5, over 6. Minnesota plus 1.5, under 6 goals. I also like Dallas plus $1.15, getting the job done for some money line cash. Give me Chicago minus 155, over 5.5. Colorado minus 1.5, under 6.5 goals. New York Rangers plus 1.5, over 6. Anaheim Ducks minus 140, over 5.5 goals. And before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, just another reminder that if you want to access every single pick that I give out on my brockpage.com website, you may want to think about signing up for my board member tier, where board members get access to every single pick that I give out on that website all the way through the end of January. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Nashville, minus 135, and the over 5.5 goals. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on brockpage.com. One final reminder, guys, if you end up, getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on my website, you're going to get access to those picks all the way through the end of January. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Thursday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.